Hey guys, I'm Haley from Haylee and Baby, and I have a beautiful little girl named Hazel, and she is now 9 months old, and she has a severe case of torticollis.
Hey guys, so my name's Vanessa. I am a young mom on YouTube, 2011 teenage mom. My daughter's name is Lily and she has Turner syndrome.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to help make this video with Vanessa and Haley because we all have some similarities with our pregnancies and babies that are a little bit different than some regular teen parents or mommies. So I just wanted to share with you guys my experience with being a young teen mommy and having lots of complications and problems with pregnancy and baby.
I'm pretty much here to talk to you guys about my horrifying labor and delivery and what it's like to have to raise a baby with torticollis. My labor and delivery, when I was about 16 weeks pregnant, I had an injury. Somebody elbowed me in the stomach, causing a placenta tear. About 8 months later, we soon realized that the placenta had healed to the uterus. I had an inverted uterus, and when the placenta came out, the uterus came out with it. That caused me to lose 6 pints of blood. I was pretty much free bleeding, and I had, it was horrible. I nearly died. I'm just grateful that Hazel came out perfect. Nothing was wrong with her whatsoever, but unfortunately, I went through all the terrible stuff. I nearly lost my life. I pretty much almost died in front of my family's eyes. I did not have to stay in the hospital for that long. If you usually have an inverted uterus, which is really rare, you have to stay about 2 to 3 weeks in the hospital. I left on day 4. I was able to walk, breastfeed. I made a fast recovery. The doctors were amazed about how soon I was up walking around and everything like that. So they were truly amazed, so they actually let me go, and I ended up walking out of the hospital on the 4th day.
Pregnancy was not all that I expected. Thank the Lord, I did not have nausea or the normal symptoms of pregnancy, but I did get sick while I was pregnant twice. I got the flu, and I also ended up having preeclampsia. Preeclampsia is a disease that people get when they're only when they're pregnant, and it raises your blood pressure to extreme levels to the point where you have to take out the baby because it's unsafe for the mother. And that's the only cure for preeclampsia is taking out the baby. So I was hospitalized from 33 weeks to 34 and a half weeks, and I didn't really feel any different. I would get hotter a lot quicker. Really normal trait of preeclampsia is I would see static on the television, but I'd see that everywhere sometimes, which was really, really weird. Blood pressure would vary. I would go from a normal 120 to 160, and it would get really scary sometimes. Around 34 and a half weeks, they decided to take the baby out. Lily obviously had issues, so once they took her out of me, I didn't get to see her for 24 hours because I was on magnesium so that I wouldn't stroke or have seizures during my labor. It wasn't a glamorous pregnancy. I didn't get those, beautiful pregnant moments. I was always disgusting and tired and upset all the time, and it was just ridiculous.
My case, nothing threatening my health, but things were definitely threatening my baby's health, which was putting me in a lot of stress. They had me on bed rest for, I believe it was a month and a half, maybe, because if I was walking around too much, it could be putting a lot of stress on her and having to have the blood pump through all the way down to my feet, back up to her, back up to my feet, to her. As if I were to just lay down, it could all just go straight to her. As most of you don't know, my baby had problems with her placenta and her umbilical cord, which was part of the problem in my pregnancy. So it was very, very crucial to me to be on everything possible I could do to help her in her situation. And then in labor, I didn't go through labor because of the complications. I ended up being at the hospital after I went to an ultrasound, and had been told an hour after I got there that they needed to take her out because they couldn't compromise her anymore. And if I were to go into labor, it probably wouldn't have ended up well because she's been put on so much stress. Like before that, labor would not have been good for her.
So Lily was in the NICU for a really long time. She was in the NICU for 3 months. The main reason was she had a heart condition. She got heart surgery. She had an interrupted aortic arch. Her aorta was slimmer than the rest of it, so they pretty much had to go in there, cut it out, and sew it back together. And the surgery took about 4 hours. It was like the longest 4 hours of my entire life. Everything went smoothly, and I was just extremely happy for that, but it was scary and it brought on its own complications. Lucky enough that she had a tube right here on her side, called a drainage tube. We had no problems with that, so we were really lucky with that because that could have caused a whole ton of problems. I think the only problem that it did affect was it collapsed one of her lungs, but it came right back up, and we were really lucky and fortunate on that part. They say babies with heart issues are much weaker, or they're very tired all the time, so Lily did slack off with her meals, and that put us in the hospital for another 2 months because she wasn't eating all that she should be eating. She wouldn't drink all of her bottle. She would leave at least an ounce in the bottle, and that wasn't good because babies at that age should be drinking a lot because they need to maintain their weight, and if they lose weight, they could affect the brain in a bad way. So we were there, and for 2 months for that, she ended up having to get a Mickey button. She has a Mickey button to this day, where when she doesn't finish her bottle, we do tube it into her stomach. Now, she has gotten better, thank God, but it is a hassle because of the fact that, you know, why can't she just drink her whole bottle? Why do I have to push it into her, you know? But we're very fortunate that we can do that so that we don't have to, like, you know, take her to the hospital every now and then because she's down in weight.
I was definitely in the hospital every single day. I have still been in the hospital every single day, and she's going to be 5 months really, really soon. I've been in the hospital every single day, even when she did end up going to a hospital even farther away from where I lived, because of other complications from what happened from being born too early. Since she was born at 31 weeks, she did have problems with her heart and needed heart surgery. So, yeah, that kind of also added on to a lot of the stress and a lot of different complications. And I'm still spending every single day, and that does put a huge stress because it's not like, oh, I get to change my baby and stuff, and it puts a lot of stress on me because I have to be up all night. It's kind of more like I have to fit in everything else that I have to do with my day and coordinate it around me going to the hospital every day, because it's like I need to see her and I want to see her every single day, but it's kind of hard when she's 30 minutes away from my house and I have to coordinate it with going to school and like different times that I can go, because usually after Matthew gets out of school is the time that I can go if he doesn't have work, because he's my ride there. Because obviously I can't drive yet. I have my permit, but I haven't taken any practice tests. So that is also why I haven't taken any practice tests to get my driver's license, because I've been spending so much time with her. I don't have time to do other activities.
What I have to deal with for Hazel that I would say not other parents have to deal with their kids is every hour on the hour I have to do neck exercises. Now, what torticollis is when one side of the muscle doesn't develop and her neck was like this. Her ear was glued to her shoulder 24/7. When she was little, I didn't catch on to it because it developed later when she got older because she didn't use that side of the neck. But I kept telling doctors about it. They just blew it off. Oh, she's fine. Don't worry about it. She just can't support her head yet. And I knew something was wrong. And finally, when I was holding her on my lap and I actually really looked at her neck, one side was thicker than the other, and that's what scared the heck out of me. So I went to a doctor, and they're like, oh, she has torticollis. And I'm just like, you're waiting 5 months to tell me this? You know, it's like I knew the whole time. They didn't, but it got worse. So because nobody listened to me, now she has a very severe case. The exercises I'm doing, I have to do every hour on the hour, and I even have to get up at night with her. It's like I have a newborn baby again. I'm getting very little sleep. It's like I wake up every 3 hours at night to do the exercises. And the exercises work to a point. It's not getting any better, but the exercises are stopping it from getting it worse. In a couple of weeks, we are going to go get her neck brace, and that's pretty much how I deal with this, is that even though I'm trying my hardest, there's always something I can fall back on. And the neck brace is something that I hope that will work, and you know, I've heard such great reviews from it. Everybody's like telling me that the neck brace will do, you know, better for her, and her neck will be better before you know it, and all this stuff. Because I've talked to real moms who's had to deal with this.
So things that daily I do with Lily that might not be normal for parents who have normal kids is the tube feedings is a big one. Lily, because of her Turner syndrome, has swelling on her hands and feet, so we have to wrap her hands and feet with gauze at night so that her swelling can go down. One of her hands has gone down already, but the other one hasn't. So we're still working on it, and yeah. Lily's immune system, because of her Turner syndrome, is also much weaker than a normal person, so she gets colds quicker, and she gets fevers a lot faster. So a lot of the times we encounter ourselves with a sick baby, and she's always very upset or very clingy, and that puts on a lot of stress because, you know, happy babies are the best babies, and it's unfortunate.
Visit the hospital every day. That's not a norm. And having to take care of her with changing her, and when I change her, I have to deal with cords being in the way. I have to deal with, when I'm in the hospital, the monitors beeping every 5 seconds because they're very, very sensitive monitors, and if she's kicking or if she's crying, monitors will go off because they're so sensitive, which is a plus, but then again, it's kind of annoying if she's just a 4-month-old and wants to be kicking and talking and monitors are going off every 5 seconds. So,
I don't know how I dealt through this whole entire experience because Lily did go through several months of bad months. Actually, up until the past 2 months, I considered her past months bad months because she wasn't really improving all that we wanted her to. When I would give her milk or I would feed her something and I would watch, especially being on YouTube and seeing so many other moms have their babies and eating normally or drinking normally or doing things normally, it was always a letdown in a way because of the fact that Lily was premature, she's not going to do things on time, and she does need that extra help, and she's not, you know, quite there yet. So it's these past couple months were bad months, and there was a lot of coping that I had to do. I had to remind myself, you know, she's not going to do things on time. You can't push her, you know, you can't do this with her, and you can't do that with her. And then I would ask myself, well, why can't I do that? Like, why am I in this situation? And all in all, you know, she's my daughter. I love her. I'm never going to trade her for anything or anyone in my entire life. You know, what mother would? I was like in a stage of denial, really, because I didn't really realize what I was doing most of the time. I mean, I knew what I was doing and I was making all the right decisions for Lily, but I was like, I'm not in this situation. This isn't happening to me. I'm not doing this. So that's pretty much how I coped.
I can't really say I've dealt with all the stress. I just had to play along with it because, I mean, there's nothing really else I can do. I can't just say I want her to come home, so she's going to come home and that's that. I have to do what's best for her. And if that's being in the hospital, then I have to deal with that, and it's kind of hard to deal with it, but I mean, it's what's best for her, and I have to live with it. Very, 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 very stressful. You have to worry day and day and day on if she's gonna be alright every single day, and things that can happen. There's so many different detours that she could go on, so many different paths, and it's just like you want her to keep going forward and keep going forward, and it's like any moment that could just change. So it's hard to keep that in mind, because you can't just be living in fantasy land and say everything's gonna be perfect and everything's gonna be okay. And it's like, as much as you want to think that and you want to know that it's, there's always that in the back of your head that something can go wrong at any moment. But you try to keep positive, and that's what I'm trying to do. And everything is looking better now, so I'm trying to keep more positive, because since everything's leaning toward the positive side, I'm trying to keep positive. There's less and less and less things that can happen each day that she's growing and getting stronger. So that's the plus side to that.
It hasn't really scared me that much. I mean, the only thing that's worried me is that she will need to go in for surgery if it does not get better by the time she is 2 years old. And surgery is something I don't think any mother would want on their child. And that is something that I personally am trying to avoid for her. I'm like driving myself crazy with these exercises just to get it to stop. I mean, I want her to get better. I don't want her to get worse. I wish she wouldn't have to go through this, because exercises, I mean, I have to do them every hour on the hour, like clockwork, and it's like doing something that I have to listen to Hazel cry through, and she tries to get out of, and I feel terrible doing it. I've actually had people say that I'm abusing my child, when in reality it's not abuse. But it's hard to watch her fight me as I'm trying to help her. Because, I mean, she looks at me with her eyes like, why are you hurting me? And it's like, I'm not, I'm sorry. But, yeah, I'm not saying torticollis is the worst thing in the world, because there's much worse. But, I mean, parents can, enjoy time with their child and watch them grow. Meanwhile, I get to watch Hazel grow, but I have to keep pushing on her neck, and she hates it.
I think I was mostly scared in Lily's life when I was in the hospital. And I was in labor. We had no idea till that point whether or not she was going to be a stillborn because of her heart defect, and they didn't know whether or not her body would be able to survive out of my womb. So I think that was the most scary part, which was labor, and especially when I was pushing her out, I wanted to hold her. I wanted to pick her up. If she cried and if she was okay, I wasn't allowed to do that. If she would have died coming out of me, then I would have refused to hold her or pick her up or even look at her, because I did not want that mental image in my head. That was when I was most scared. I was really relaxed when she came out and she started crying, which was a good sign. It's something a normal baby does. So I was really happy about that. David did get to hold her for a couple seconds. He brought her over to me so I could see her, and I didn't really see her because I was laying down and David's so tall, but I did get to touch her face with my hand, which was really cool. But other than that, I think that's the most scared I've been.
Very scared since the day I've gotten pregnant, not just since she's been born. When I first became pregnant, I was scared. I mean, obviously I was young. I still am young, and I was pregnant and scared and just stressed out because I have to take care of her. It's not just that simple. It's so much harder, especially when your baby has complications and things. Even when she does come home, I'm still going to have to deal with doctors and health nurses and physical therapists and pediatricians, and what kind of formula I have to use, and like if I have to use a tube, because she is going to be coming home possibly on a G tube or a nasal tube. So I have to deal with having to make sure that the tube is in there okay, and that she's getting as much food as she needs to get, and it's really hard, especially when there's so many things you have to think about, and it's more than just she's wet, she has to get her diaper changed, she needs to be fed, she needs to be burped, she has gas. It's just so much more than that when there's so many other things going in your head. And especially I think the scariest part for me is going to be when she does come home, because I'm so used to having her on monitors and making sure that she is okay, that when the first night she spends the night without a monitor, I'm going to be kind of scared. But I think for the child's life, I think the only time I've ever been scared for my child's life was when she had heart surgery. That is a very big surgery. She ended up getting an infection from the hospital after she had heart surgery. So just another thing added on to that, and it's just there's so many possibilities of things that can go wrong with a baby. It makes you wonder, and it amazes me. I don't know about other people, but it amazes me how many things that can go wrong with a baby. It makes you think how things can even go right so many times.
You think having a baby and dealing with a baby is hard? Having a baby with problems and dealing with those types of problems, whether you're not in the NICU, whether you're at home and you have to do certain things for your baby, or whether or not you're your baby's full 100% care and that baby can't do anything for itself for a long time or the rest of its life, it's pretty much, the odds are not going to be in your favor, and things aren't going to get easier like having a normal baby would.
You may say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and it's nice to hear that, but it's no one really ever knows until you've gone through what we've gone through. And it's just, you're never going to know unless you go through what we go through, because it's the hardest thing you will ever do. And especially when you're a teen parent, it is the hardest thing you will ever do. And no matter if you're 15, 16, 18, 20, or even 30, if this happens to you, it's going to be hard. And just being young just adds on to it. I really just wish people my age wouldn't tell me oh, from all these videos, how cute she is, and I want to get pregnant, and I think I'm pregnant, and then it's yeah, it's a wonderful thing, but it's just there's so many things that can go wrong. It's just wanted to show some of you how difficult it is not only being a teen mom, but being a teen mom with a baby with complications. I know other people have made videos on this, and I want you guys to believe it, because it is, and they're not just saying it because they don't want you to get pregnant at such a young age. It is freaking hard, and I can't stress that enough.
But I love her. She's a strong little trooper, and we're going to get through this together, so thanks for watching, guys.
But anyway, I hope you guys understood the message of this video. We really wanted to do this video because of the fact that I think a lot of teenagers don't know the risks of having babies at a young age, not financially and, you know, living-wise, but the risks that you take as a teenage parent, health-wise, and that your baby can take as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
I'm just trying to help you guys out and wanted to inform you on what it's like being a teen mom.